You can see where your cousin would just go and try it.
Yes, it is, you know.
You make it look very easy.
I can honestly say I remember when my dad said, "Okay, you ready to try it?" And I looked at him like, "Oh, that'll be easy." And I put the stilts on and I started going, and yeah, I learned too really quick that, and I should have known because afterwards, that was when my dad let me know that he told my grandpa the same thing. Okay guys, hey, I made a quick pump here. I didn't have the right plastic, so I made it out of a bag. I've had to do before, so anyway, just a really quick on making the pump. Like, this is a bag, but normally you take a piece of plastic, you would have the square, you would grab it in the center, and then you'd pull it down through your hands, down to about 4 inches. And then you would start bringing the rest of it around and tape it all together until you actually get kind of a stem like this. And the stem should be coming from the center here all the way down in there and getting taped. And then it gives you just this texture. And the hard one will hold its shape, and it makes it easy to keep pumping onto the ceiling, where this one will start giving away and everything. So I will be back on with another video as soon as I get the right plastic to show you the proper way to make and put one of these together. But for now, this is going to do us, and I am going to just get it done with this. Fortunately, it's a small bathroom, so it shouldn't be too frustrating. Welcome back. Hey, we'll hit another one here. We're going to, for those who don't know, this is a hawk. And it's actually called a drywall hawk. Used primarily for texturing and holding. I do know some guys use it instead of a pan. Yeah, I prefer the pan, but it is definitely, as you'll see for hand brocade and stuff, a must-have, and something that just yeah, there's no way around it. And basically, the mud that we've mixed and done all that, we're just going to throw right here on the hawk, preferably in the center. Fortunately, it's small enough room, so I'm not going to worry about caking it on, but you just get it in the center as much as you can. I'm going to walk down here because I'm going to start in this back corner. And basically what it comes down to is you're going to get a good hold on that pump, and you're going to get it in here, and it takes a little bit to get it full, but then you're just going to start slamming it on the ceiling. Now the big thing to remember is you don't want to try and get too close to the edge, because you'll just end up getting it all over the walls, and then you're cleaning that up. Kind of takes the fun out of it. Always just going at it and letting it go. It kind of looks cool like this, but unfortunately we can't keep it that way. But you can see in reality it actually goes pretty fast. And once I get a section done, thank you. Once I get a section done, then we'll start wiping some of that off before we continue.
And no push-ups needed after this. Quite a workout.
Yes, yes, yes.
Take some of your stuff.
So, you know, again, just
arnica. That's what I was thinking. Take some arnica.
Yes.
To relieve muscle pain.
And if you watched the video about the pump I did right before this one, as you can see, this pump is starting to collapse and give up. And that's what I was talking about. Using the heavier plastic really is the better way to go.
Does a tarp work?
No, they're not thick. It's got to be really heavy duty plastic, unfortunately. So
can you double up the plastic?
No, because it just comes apart inside. It's got to be one solid, so that when you pull it through the center, it stays in place. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start wiping a little bit of this. Now this is where it does get a little bit tricky, because the number one thing, every 12-inch knife that you buy, whether it be from Wallboard or I don't remember where I got this one, but I've had this one for years, and good knife, but it should have a natural bend in it. So the one thing you want to do, as soon as you pick up the knife, you want to figure out where the bow is. And as you can see, the bow here is out. Well, let's see, that would be, I think, to the left of you guys. But you can just eyeball it and look. Because if you did it the opposite way, then you're going to dig in on each corner. So with the bow, it pushes those up. Because the one thing that you, on this, that you got to do is, first you got to figure out your pressure for how much to wipe. Which, that takes some time. But then you see how it comes off on the knife. Well, you don't want to wipe that off, because you're going to come back here into the edge, lift it up, and then you're going to do some more, put it in the corner, lift it up. Do the same thing over here, wipe some more, and then you come across. And now we've pretty much completed this whole corner. And then you can just kind of do another real light wipe to make sure that you got most of it. The little stuff is, once it dries, is going to just, well, you take the trowel, which will show, but like right there, I can see there's a little bit hanging down. Well, that, once it's dry, I'll come through, take the trowel, and dry wipe it, which is just means the trowel's clean. There's nothing on there, and we'll wipe it all down, and it'll all just break right off. You don't have to worry about sanding or any of that. And so I think, in the interest of time, I will go ahead and we'll stop the video. I'll get up close to the end, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to finish the final edges, because these steps are all the same until we get to the end, and I'll come back and do that. Thanks for watching. I do want to mention, because of what I just did, one thing about these knives, they're not necessarily sharp, but if you do run your finger across it, it will slice it right open. So if, like me, I had a bunch of dried stuff on the edge that I want to take off, so I wipe it. But I always make sure I put my finger back just, where it's barely touching the edge. And I do it slowly because I've had quite a few slices from doing that.
Very good tip. You can see where your cousin would just go and try it.
Yes, it is.
You make it look very easy.
I can honestly say I remember when my dad said, "Okay, you ready to try it?" And I looked at him like, "Oh, that'll be easy." And I put the stilts on and I started going, and yeah, I learned too really quick that. And I should have known, because afterwards, that was when my dad let me know that he told my grandpa the same thing. Oh yeah, that looks easy. I mean, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And it does, and it really, slapping the mud up there really is easy. But getting the right, the right pressure without putting gouges, and that's the stuff. That's what happens if you're getting too heavy pressure on it. Then all of a sudden you start seeing lines and gouges in it, or you'll see a dip in it because it took too much out of the center. There's a lot of different things, and sometimes you're going to have some that you can't help and nobody's going to notice, and sometimes it looks like it because you just have a nice line where things are. And like this stuff here, again, that's all going to break off when I do the dry wipe on it. And I actually have a wide blade, about that wide, that you just kind of run up and down it, and it takes care of that. I'm going to use this up. And as you can see from there, it's a little thicker over here, and this is where I added that mud. And so I did it just a little thicker because it was a little lower there. And so that kind of brings it all even. And
that's so satisfying.
Must be the final stretch. Got your war paint on.
that's right. That's when you know you about conquered the ceiling. You show it that you're the winner. Gave me a run for my money.
Be feeling it tomorrow. More than today.
Fortunately,
Did you say feel it burn? Feel it burn?
Yes.
Tomorrow it will be I can't move.
Definitely not as young as I used to be. And something else, it just, as you're doing this, now that we're at this end where I was kind of talking about things, it's good to really be aware, especially towards the end, because you're kind of stuck with this is the last of what you're going to put on. So it's kind of important before you do the wipe down to kind of pay attention to how much space you have on these edges to make sure that when you wipe it down, you don't come up short and then not be able to get into the corner and wipe it out. And I mean, the easiest way is well, like here where I just put this one, I just was like, oh, I could probably use a little more, and you can just pump it a little heavier. And even if you find that, oh, I'm going to need more over here, even if it's over here, but you still have to pump there, you can pump it heavy there, wipe it, and then come over here and do the corner. It doesn't have to be right next to it. So, just a little tidbit and a way to kind of get around that. A little more mud. And as you can see, my hand, this is another reason it's good to have heavy plastic for the pump. Because this is what happens when it starts breaking down and giving in, and it just starts folding all over, and nothing you can really do except for wear it. And when it's wet, it's not so bad, but when it starts drying, then it's a little annoying.
Well, all superheroes have some kind of a costume. Careful of those capes.
Or in my case, the crepes.
That was bad.
But fitting. Happy to say.
Watch what I'm saying. He's right over my head.
Oops. Make a mess of that. And then another little thing to remember is always trying to go to where you first started putting it on. That way you're wiping off the older stuff that's starting to already kind of get dry, and because there's no doubt it's a lot easier to feather out and to do everything the softer it is. Which kind of goes without saying, I'm sure, but
I think I'm ready to do it now.
you're next.
Easy peasy.
That's right. And that is that.
The way it looks, anyways.
Um,
And that's how it's done.
yeah, I don't know what much more to say other
So
than
right there where it's really thick, it doesn't matter because that's the way it looks when it's hand Brocade.
Yep, and it'll paint. And I'll tell you one of the cool things. So I mean, my dad did this a lot in the homes that he owned over the years, and I can remember many times laying in bed or just laying on the couch even and looking up at the ceiling and finding different designs, and I'd find ducks. I'd find all kinds of stuff that your mind can start making out of the different shapes and stuff up there, and smiley faces, all kinds of stuff. And I found a couple I thought were so real, I actually thought he did it on purpose. And he let me know he didn't. But
So like, let's say for this thing right here, like if you had a perfectionist who didn't really know how to do this and whatever, they may go, ooh, I want to fix that right there. See how it's a little bumpy, and
here?
I want to come back because it's kind of, that would mess it up, right?
Well, no, you could see what I know, and so I don't worry about it, is number one, those are going to break off as soon as I dry wipe
the
it.
thickness and like.
Oh, the thickness is just,
texture of it.
yeah.
Like if you just looked at any spot and wanted to fix it, it can mess it up more.
It can.
So you want to be careful.
You really, you've got to be very, know the pressure you're putting on the trowel. That's the biggest thing. I mean, that's the biggest thing with this whole thing, is knowing where you're putting on the pressure. And then the other thing, if you're wanting to like reduce a little bit, you want to make sure that your 12-inch knife is clean. And that way when you're wiping, you're not adding more, and you can just come across and you can kind of just keep going until you blend it. But again, if you push too hard or anything like that, you're going to mess it up, and you're going to end up, like sanding it out or doing things different.
Looks good.
So, and the other thing is, nice part is, again, once it's dry brushed or dry scraped and then it's painted, it blends even more. And because then you don't have as many divots. Because me personally, in my years of doing this, I always paint the ceilings in white, and I do it in semi-gloss. I know a lot of people, they've done flat for years, but number one, you can't wash flat. Flat's not waterproof, so why would it even make sense in a bathroom anyway? But I do the whole house in it because, well, if you look here, you can even see where my mom had got a Christmas tree that was too big. So when you were pushing it up, you can see where the branch scraped all the way across the ceiling. And so we can't wash it off because it's flat paint. But with semi-gloss, we could have just washed it.
I have a question right here. Where there's that. Is that going to matter?
No, because I still have to do the walls. And so I'm caulking all these edges. And some people may have been wondering, why am I leaving some of this open? I'm caulking it. And number one reason for it is here at the coast, the winds are so high that it actually moves these boards. And so it can crack out a lot easier. Where if I just do silicone around the edges, and I'll do the whole edge by the time before I actually texture the walls. And with that, it gives it that give and allows it to shift and move, and it won't crack it out. So you're always going to find things that you can come back. And the bright side is, worst case scenario, chances are, now if this all would have been done in one job like it should have been, you'd have extra drywall chunks, pieces like cutting out for the window. And I could pump a little mud on there, wipe it off, and I can come back and touch up anywhere. I don't have that. I could do it right here on the wall as far as that goes. I could just pump a little bit on the wall, wipe it so I get my stuff on here, and come back up and move some of that, and then just scrape the wall off. So you're never stuck in that way where you can't fix something or you can't go back.
So what about that stuff that got on the
that'll
wall
just all
there?
that'll all
Do you
scrape.
just scrape it now?
No.
Or do you wait?
I don't scrape it now normally, just because I don't want to get close to the ceiling and end up messing something else up. Okay. And once it's dry, it'll just scrape right off anyway.
Perfect.
And I try not to do that, period. But sometimes, like where I was trying to fill in these areas, I just and the pump was falling apart so bad. Other than that, I really hope that you guys, whoever watches this, at least enjoys it, at least gets a laugh. We've sure had fun doing it. I know I have. I just thank you for watching. And hopefully I'll get some more stuff out here. And we're gonna work on some other videos. If you look online, you can see, that there's a few things with a geo that we did some work on and stuff. So it won't just be, one thing. I've always enjoyed learning to fix things, and I started it when I was young, and I've learned how to do a lot of it, so I'd like to, pass all of it on as much as I can.
And give gratitude to your daddy.
Yes. And I do. And I really do thank my dad a lot for taking the time to, he started me working on cars. I think I changed my first tire when I was around 10, of course, with his assistance, but I actually, I got pictures of me doing it with my Army helmet on. But he always had patience. He worked, with me. We did a lot of jobs together. We always had fun. And he was really a great teacher, considering the first time he worked for my grandfather told him to go in and get a measurement of the closet. And my dad came back to my grandpa and said, well, it's from my elbow, edge of my arm, to this much of the hammer. He didn't know how to read a tape measure, so that's the only way he could think of to measure it. And he went from that to doing so much in his life. I really, really do look up to everything he accomplished in his life for a man who didn't even go to school, really. So, thank you again. And I hope maybe to see some pictures of your guys' bathroom with a hand brocade ceiling. So, if you have any questions, any thoughts, feel free to leave a comment. Even if there's something else you're curious about, and we can figure out a way to do a video on something else that may help you. So, thanks again, and have a wonderful night.
Bye.
Bye. Comes off the soap and water. Thanks for watching.
Oh, do that.
Thanks for watching again.
Wait, do. I'm gonna do bloopers.
And again. And again.
What?
And again. And again. You're just finding things to store up so you can throw in there.
Blackmail.